Peterborough's Muslim Community Radio. Broadcasting on 106.2 FM and online.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Community Connection with Eva and Nisha. We're with you every other Tuesday night, and this is the show where we showcase what community means to people in Peterborough. We talk about some of the challenges our community faces and all the things that are happening in Peterborough to make the community stronger, whether that's young people or in different neighbourhoods. There are so many amazing organisations doing work in the city, and we exist to platform that and to make sure that you're aware of any opportunities to seek help or to get involved. We're all about partnership working, and we really do want you to get in touch with us, so make sure that you send us a text on 07411 191062, or you can give us a call in the studio if you want to get involved. But if you haven't tuned in before, my name's Eva and I am a youth voice worker. I work in policy, I work in local government, I work for lots of charities. I'm really passionate about community work, which all started when I started working with my wonderful colleague Nisha when I was at Peterborough City Council. Assalamu alaikum, Nisha, how are you?
Walaikum salam, I'm good, thank you, alhamdulillah.
Nisha, remind us who you are.
So I'm Nisha, work at the City Council in my new role, team leader for cohesion and integration, but under communities, everything to do with communities, but have different hats on, as you all may know. You see me popping up everywhere on Facebook doing different projects all the time. So yeah, that's me.
And we're not wearing our work hats tonight, are we? When we're at Community Connection, we're just talking about our passion for some of the brilliant things in Peterborough. And today we are so lucky to have here with us in the studio Dean Watson, who is, I don't know if I'll get your job title right, are you the Youth Hub Manager?
That is correct.
At the Peterborough Youth Employment Hub, based at the Peterborough United Foundation over at the stadium on London Road. And we spoke a little bit last time we were on the show about some of the issues facing young people in Peterborough, specifically the way that the youth provision landscape has changed and the fact that some of the opportunities, the youth clubs, the universal provision that was around when some of us were growing up, not me, it doesn't exist anymore, and there are very few opportunities for some of our young people. And actually something that's been in the headlines a lot over the past couple of months, couple of years, is the skyrocketing youth unemployment figures. And Dean has been working in this space with young people facing barriers to the workplace and all kinds of barriers for many years. He is one of the original champions of youth employment, and when some things started stirring in the policy world a couple of years ago, he was one of the first people who government organisations started reaching out to find out about what's already happening in Peterborough. And the things he's building over at the Youth Hub at the Posh are absolutely fantastic. Him and his team have already supported hundreds of young people, I think it is now, who have been through the door. So how are you doing, Dean? It's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you for the invite. I'm doing very well, thank you.
And I haven't done it justice. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what the Youth Hub is?
Yeah, so it's a third space, and what I mean by that is it's a very informal space where a young person can come and get the support that they need, be that employment, mental health, training, advice, guidance, or just a nice place where they can come and relax. I know we'll go into that a little bit later on, and this week we've reached over 480 young people have come into the hub since we opened up in November.
Yeah. That's amazing, and we're going to get into all of the different organisations who work in the hub, just the absolute breadth of support that's available. But first and foremost, I mean, you're a leader in this space. I'm sure you wouldn't admit it, but it's absolutely true. And we thought that we would kick off just by talking a little bit about how you got where you are. So it's up to you where you want to start. I mean, are you from Peterborough? Did you grow up here?
Born and bred.
Nice.
Grew up in Council Estate in Paston.
Wow.
Yeah, go for it. Love Paston. Mum literally just had the house when I was born, and she just moved out of the house last November, so she was in there for 40 plus years. Yeah, single parent household, but saying that, both my mum and dad were very much in my life, so as well as my granny very much grew up with that. My mum was at work full time, so I was very much raised by my granny on a day-to-day basis. Got a younger sister, older brother, and probably about an extended family of about 15 brothers.
Oh, wow.
Brothers and sisters. So we're a big family in the city, but born and bred. So life was okay. Not gonna say it wasn't. Wasn't really overly hard, but it was difficult. Left school with no qualifications. Only left with a GCSE in PE because I'm good at sport. It was easy, but everything else was below that with the pass rate.
So that's something that I want to link back to our previous show, because we've got a bit of a role on youth work and how youth provision looks like in Peterborough, as well as what someone like a young person is going through. And we're trying to highlight and give confidence through the show to young people who don't have direction, who come out of school thinking, I haven't got the GCSEs, I don't know what I want to do. There's a big talk about apprenticeships. You can talk about that later, about apprenticeships and accessibility and stuff. But for a young person, it's quite like overwhelming right now because they've been out of the space. But when I came to visit and you told me about your story, the fact that you hadn't, you left without any qualifications and stuff, that was to see someone who has gone from that to then providing the space that you do and being involved with some of the stuff. And please talk about the other stuff that you've done. There's so much that you've fallen short on, but I want to highlight that to young people and parents, to use this as an example to say there is still hope. You're in a country where it's a place of opportunities. It's just finding the right opportunities through people like these organisations, through the council, through what provisions out there, and the youth hub at the Posh tries to mimic like a space where youth can get that support, where someone like yourself realistically probably didn't have that support.
No, so I was very much, and this is again, we don't, and what I found is professionals, adults don't share their stories. And young people are very much hearing a one-sided story that you have to do a certain thing to get a certain position.
100%.
I always use the word fortunate and probably underselling myself, but I had a mentor who when I played football locally, who worked for the council and kind of guided me into sports development. I became the youngest sports development officer in the council's history at 18. Wow. And then was going into areas doing drug rehab, antisocial behaviour, sports engagement, leadership at that age across the city. Realised I loved the job and had to move to Colchester because that was the only place I could get a job. So, but having the guidance to be able to make that move. And have somebody really sit down and have a conversation and say, look, Dean, you're really good at your job. There's that role's not going to be in the city. You're going to have to move if you want to do that job, and we're going to help you do that. That's something which we're not having that conversation with young people. But yeah, so I've done. I'll do a whistle-stop tour, but happy to go in more detail if you pick anything else out. So I've worked in local authorities. I was part of the team that created Unity FC back in 2001, I believe, in the city. Worked on drug rehab through sport, so would pick young people up from prison, bring them back into the city, help them integrate through going to the gym, helping them manage their addictions and possibly get off their addictions. Was approached by the council to do that. Then I moved to, where'd I go? To Millwall Football Club, where I was the deputy CEO of the football club's foundation arm, as well as the sports development manager. Did schoolwork, so went in education, did schools, again with no qualifications, all just experience and putting the right mindset. Okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm good at.
And I'm assuming on the job training.
Yeah, on the job training, 100%.
Like constantly on the job improving yourself.
Yeah.
And this is what is young people. The message I think to young people is if you want to do something, you do have to chase the dream and improve yourself and stuff. Okay, you didn't get the GCSEs, but it's not the end of the world.
Oh no, and doing the horrible jobs. Like I've told you some of the quality jobs there, but I was a leisure assistant at Warrington Sports Centre and Gladstone Community Centre.
Oh, wow.
And Bushfields. I was cleaning up all sorts of stuff from the change rooms. I'll leave the listeners to imagine what that was like. Then going out and doing sports coaching. I've worked for Kick It Out, just anti-discrimination charity supporting people who've had discrimination in the game, so supporting family members, young people, adults, working with the FA to adjust their policies on how they manage discrimination cases and actually give the full picture rather than just what is seen.
That's
So now
impressive.
they do meant to do a full deep dive to understand what that young person or that player, was like before the incident, how it's looked at after the incident, looking at how they would walk into a room. So when they go for disciplinary hearing, is what they see who they are. So it's not just a certain demographic. I've then worked for Huntingdonshire Football Association as a area sports officer, supporting young people and refugees and asylum seekers to get into football. So working with the East Timor community to help them manage their football and potentially do a international league in Peterborough. Then became the county development manager, so helped venues like Neverton, Stilton, other areas with their 3G pitches and their pitch development. And then became, at 39, the youngest CEO in Huntingdonshire's Football Association, but also the first black CEO in the Football Association's history. So then won some national awards with them. From that, a big sharp dive, what most young people are seeing, I became a delivery driver after about 3 years there, and then found myself into youth employment because my sole journey was about supporting people, and had really good success with working with people like yourselves, other partners and stakeholders and companies to support young people.
It feels like you enjoy it though, because I've seen you in different spaces, and I've seen you at the joint as well. Yeah, and like and it looks like that is your kind of that's your project, and that's something that you inspired to like promote, and you could tell when you've got passion in something.
Yeah, I've really, so when I had that call it midlife crisis, when I became a delivery driver,
or enlightenment.
Yeah, enlightenment. I really took some time to self-reflect, and this is what when young people come into the hub, I talk about self-reflection and purpose, and what do they want to do now, and how can they get there. And I found out that I like to support people to feel better, if that's in the communities, if that's individuals, if that's young people, adults, whoever. I like to give them the time to feel comfortable. So I decided, literally somewhere out in Leicester, while I was on my break, that's the job I want to do. And I've really lent into that passion.
It's so important to find your passion and to have periods to, I don't know, sometimes the spirals of life and some of the quieter moments are a time to reflect, and is when you don't have access to something that you realise how much you appreciate it. And I mean, we talk a lot we have kind of shared theories of how to support young people across. There's a wider project which we'll speak a little bit more about around Cambridge and Peterborough, around supporting young people, which the Youth Hub is a part of the network of. The Youth Guarantee Trailblazer will speak a little bit about that, but we have kind of a shared understanding that if you haven't had the time to think about actually what you enjoy and what you're good at, then it's really hard to make strategic decisions and meaningful decisions about what you want to do with your life. And we're going to break for a short nasheed now, but we will be back with you in a moment.
Sallallahu ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sallallahu ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sallallahu ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Best of Allah's creations, final prophet and messenger, sent to the world as a guide. Let us all praise Muhammad. Sallallahu ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sallallahu ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He was the light of guidance. He showed the path to perfection. He was given the divine revelation, the greatest book, Al-Quran. He was a man of simplicity. Of all the tribes, his was the noblest. He would rather starve himself than see the hunger of the needy. Sallallahu ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, sallallahu ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He walked the earth in humility. No creation can compare to his beauty. His softness, his smile drew people to God's final deen. He taught us how to cleanse ourselves from the outward and the inward, to our hearts filled with diseases, to live like him, the purest of beings. Sallallahu ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, sallallahu ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In this time of mass oppression, his name is clouded with falsity. We will stand strong in rebuttal to those who stand to cause anarchy. Our advice to those who don't know, to go and read the books of history, to learn, to see the life of the greatest being. Sallallahu ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, 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 sallallahu ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Community Connection with Eva and Nisha. This is the show where we talk all about some of the amazing community work happening in Peterborough, and today we're in the studio with Dean Watson from the Peterborough Youth Hub, Peterborough Youth Employment Hub, based at the Posh Stadium. And we were talking a bit about just getting to know Dean and his journey so far, and kind of the importance of, I guess, finding your why as you move through what's sometimes a chaotic career journey, but it has a common thread. And there are times when you feel a bit lost, and there are times when you feel like, actually, this is really where I'm meant to be. And we were also talking about how sometimes we feel like our personalities or our manners can limit us, but they don't have to. I mean, even things like being an introvert or an extrovert. I mean, Dean, what were your reflections on that?
No, I was just saying, I always thought there was kind of something wrong with me growing up. Like, I wasn't part of the group. I was always on the outside. And I realised probably about 6 years ago that I'm actually an introvert, and I like to be on my own. I like to be on the outside. And then kind of lent into that. So the fact of, I like to listen to the subject matter of the room and then come with my ideas, I always thought was an issue, when actually it's a really, really big strength. So I've learned how to manage situations like this. And when we talked about during the break, how after this show, I will like to just go and be on my own for like half an hour just to recharge my batteries, because I will be flat out. Whereas my wife is very much an extrovert and loves to be around people. And that's how she gains her energy.
Yeah. I think there's strengths in both, isn't there? Definitely. And I think that's what it's we say, like a mixture of something is better with an outcome, but it's personalities in a team is the same. When you're at work, you learn that the strengths have come to the table. But with introverts, there is like, I read this study where it says when they find their niche-ness, then they do extraordinary things. So when we talked about enlightenment, you were saying you had to have that period of enlightenment in order to realise like what your strengths were.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite a common trait that we see in the community when we talk about champions and people, because I always have a terminology that the special people, the givers and the volunteers and people who want to give back to humanity, who have that human nature where they want to give back to improve others. Like with working with young people, there has to be a selflessness there.
Yes.
And it all comes back to what your strengths are.
Yeah, and there's something about active listening and introverts being amazing listeners and like listening to understand rather than listening to respond, because they don't constantly, they don't feel as like I guess kind of pushed to talk all the time, or like the same urge to be the voice all the time, and also to be introspective as well, and to kind of have those kind of more meaningful epiphany moments as well. If you're someone who spends a lot of time in their own head, it's fascinating and beautiful how different we all are. And we were speaking about how through Dean's journey of different roles in lots of different organisations with a sporting angle to it, lots of different organisations with a community development or social justice angle to it, and ending up working or managing the youth hub at the Peterborough United Stadium, which does amazing work with young people who are facing unemployment, or they're not really sure what to do next, or they're what we might call NEET, so not in education, employment or training. That's a young person who's not at college, they're not at school, they don't have a job. Doesn't mean they're doing nothing, but they haven't found their thing at the moment, or they might be facing barriers to their thing. And this group of young people who are far from homogenous, we might say, that they're a very diverse group of young people with different stories and needs, but they're all over the headlines at the moment. We can't help but see stories about the fact that there are 1 million young people in the UK who between the ages of 16 and 24 or 25, I think it is, who are not in education, employment or training, and it's led to a lot of, I guess, kind of government momentum and pressure and funding even. We were lucky enough to receive £5 million to the combined authority in Cambridgeshire and Peterborough, where I work, which was aimed at supporting 16 to 21 year olds and up to 25 if young people have some additional needs, to reduce the number of them who are not on education, employment or training, and make sure there's an array of support for them. But I guess, Dean, you've been working with this cohort, shall we say, for quite a while in your role at Cross Keys Homes as well. What do you feel the challenges are for young people in terms of getting on in life, finding their thing, whether that's in study or work, in Peterborough more widely, and what's changed over the past few years? Does it feel like it's improving? Does it feel like some things never change? I
think with the local change regards to the Trailblazer and the youth guarantee that's come into the county and the region, definitely stuff has changed, and it's changing at a speed. Probably not a speed we both wanted to change at. All three of us really wanted to change at, but it is changing. I think the main, and I always say this, the main barrier I find that young people are facing is confidence and self-belief. I know listeners will probably think, well, experience and being knocked back and not having 5 years experience to do the job. But and I know it's a dangerous thing looking back on yourself, but every job I've applied for and had required me to have a degree. Has required me to have certain experience. I had the confidence in me because I had the mentors and the trusted adults around me to support me through the application process, to give me that little boost to say, you can do this job, you can do that. And that's what's missing, or has been missing. And I think what we're seeing over the last 12 months, especially since the youth hub has been open, but before that as well, they're often done in silos around, there's no coordination. And I think quite a lot of the time there's great organisations out there like Cross Keys Homes, like some other organisations who are doing really fabulous work, Salvation Army, amazing work, but it's so siloed and on its own that actually it's not connected. And I think with the policy that's just recently come in since August last year, with the devise of this youth guarantee, Trailblazer funding opportunities for community organisations to do the work, we're seeing it joined up, and that's what's happening at the hub.
And at home, you probably haven't heard of the Youth Guarantee Trailblazer. But you don't have to have, because at the end of the day, the Youth Guarantee Trailblazer is a government commitment, central government commitment to supporting this group of young people, and it's money that's gone into all a variety of different things. Dean's just mentioned some, the Youth Hub, but also things like Salvation Army, Cross Keys, lots of different organisations in Peterborough have had funding from that. So that's probably why you haven't heard of it, even though you might have come across it. I mean, Nisha, we're going to break very shortly, but as someone who works in the community, why is this important to you? Is this an issue that comes up a lot?
Yeah, so we always hear that, we've never, like you said, we've never heard of this. There's been headlines to say X amount of money pumped into Peterborough for the youth work, and then there's people on the ground who are in need of that support, and they come to the council or local people like myself saying, where's the money gone? Like, how can we access it? But we can speak about that a bit more after the break, I think.
Absolutely. We're going to shed some of the light on some of the brilliant things happening in Peterborough. We'll be back with you very shortly. Please stay with Community Connection. Assalamu alaikum.
Stay tuned to Salaam Radio after this short ad break.
2020 World Buffet is inspired by the best foods from around the world. See our teppanyaki chefs grill your food to order, or choose delicious Indian, Italian, Chinese, Mexican dishes and British favourites, all halal. 2020 World Buffet offers you unlimited food at a set price. Open 7 days for lunch and dinner. Catering, wedding and party services available too. Call 01733 566 320 or visit 2020buffet.co.uk. 2020 World Buffet, 35 New Road, Peterborough, PE1 1FJ.
Every successful business starts with a single step: the courage to begin. At the Progressive Business Network, we believe your idea could change your life. Each month, we bring dreamers and doers together to inspire, to share, and to spark action. Your time is now. Join the Progressive Business Network. Visit progressivebusinessnetwork.co.uk today. Progressive Business Network, where ambition meets opportunity.
There's simply a variety of choice at Chicken Valley, 318 Lincoln Road. And we don't just mean whether you dine in or order for takeaway or delivery. With halal dishes including peri-peri chicken, wings, strips and wraps, Korean burgers, sides, milkshakes and so much more. You'll have to experience Chicken Valley again and again and again. Open 11 a.m. until late, every day of the week. Order delivery via Just Eat, Uber or Food Hub. Or for collection, call Chicken Valley on 01733 564 053.
Home or business, protect what matters most with a bespoke security system from H-Secure Tech. CCTV, intruder and fire alarms, and access control too. 5-star Google-rated H-Secure Tech install them all, with 24-hour and mobile app monitoring, keeping your business safe and your loved ones protected. To discuss your specific requirements, call 01733 590 201. or visit hsecuretech.com.
कश्मीर ऑर्फन्स रिलीफ ट्रस्ट कोड आप ही के अतियात से हजारों यतीम बच्चों की जिंदगियां बदल रहा है। इस रमजान मुबारक में अपनी ज़कात, सदकात, फितराना और अतियात कोर्ट को दें। नेकी और खैर के इस अमल में आपका हिस्सा अल्लाह पाक कबूल फरमाए, आमीन।
Code Educational Complex, Jatla Road, Akhtarabad, Mirpur, Azad Kashmir, UK office 0300 123 777 code.org.uk.
At Master's Pharmacy, we put your health and convenience first. We offer free blood pressure checks and blister-packed medication. With our free same-day prescription delivery service, you can have your medication when you need it. We also offer travel vaccinations, including Hajj and Umrah, along with other services to meet all your pharmacy needs. For more information, contact Master's Pharmacy on 01733 567 208 or visit us at 303 Lincoln Road, PE1 2PH.
You're listening to Peterborough's community radio, Salaam Radio. Salaam Radio. 106.2 FM.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Community Connection with Eva and Nisha. This is the show where we talk all about the fantastic things that are happening in the community in Peterborough. And we're talking all about youth employment and supporting young people into work opportunities today with our wonderful guest, Dean Watson, who is the manager of Peterborough Youth Hub based over at the Peterborough United Football Stadium. And just a reminder that we want to hear from you, because this is a topic that's really important to people in the community. We've all got young people in our lives who are finding it more and more difficult to access work opportunities or to know what they're going to do after school or to get on in school if they're struggling. So let us know your thoughts and your story. You can text us on 07411 191 062, or you can even give us a call if you want to on 01733 602 133 and join us in the studio. Make sure you do get in touch. And as I said, we're here today with our wonderful guest Dean Watson and also my co-host Nisha, and we were having a chat before we went on a break a little bit about some of the funding that's come into Peterborough and Cambridgeshire and Peterborough over the past year or so in this space. And we were talking about the need for mapping, right, and the importance of making sure that we are accountable to the community and they do know about where some of this money is going, and also that they're able to access things that are happening, and we don't end up with programs coming to an end and actually people didn't know they were there. Am I right?
Exactly. So before the show, I think the question that, just a reminder that we spoke about how X amount of funding always comes into the city, hits the headlines, and then the community kind of don't see where it's been going. And as part of the community team and my more recent role, which is the cohesion and integration title that I have, it's important that the public and service users know where to access these really great projects that have been funded. So part of my team is that we go around to these different projects. We're part of the Youth Sector Forum as well, where we invite other some of the projects that have been funded, not been funded, to this Youth Sector Forum to network with them to find out what they're offering and map what is being offered and advertise that. So we do have a really good active communities Facebook page. My two community connectors, and I'm going to shout out to Juliet and Alice, are amazing at their social media skills, and we always put on their projects that we are aware of, that we find out about, that's useful to the community. So always watch those pages. We are involved with other partnerships such as PCVS, for the voluntary sector, Peterborough Organisation for Council.
Peterborough Council for Voluntary Service.
There you go.
They're basically like the charity that supports other charities.
Yeah, so they've got a great networking platform as well. So they always share things with us and we share with them. And if there's like a project that is coming to an end and needs some spaces filling, we do a shout out to fill out those spaces. But I'm really interested in Dean talking about the offer of the hub, the youth hub that we've been talking about quite a lot. But when I went, so I visited it because I've been hearing about it from Eva quite a lot, and Eva keeps saying to me, come and have a look, come down, have a look, you're going to love it. And it is one of those places where, because it's in the stadium, like I've only been to the stadium for the big iftar, which is during Ramadan. Eva and I went there with my daughter, and it's the first time I stepped into the stadium. That was like a great cohesion sort of thing that happened, but to pluck up courage to actually walk into it. And I always thought to myself, how can like a youth hub be in the grounds of the Posh stadium? But when I got there, it didn't feel like that, and it was such a nice atmosphere. But I'm going to come back to you, Dean, and just tell us about what the offer is, and I'll give you my first impressions as someone who's from the outside, just coming in and walking into that space.
Yeah, so the youth hub is open Monday to Thursday 10 till 4. And it's, as we mentioned earlier, it's a space where young people can come 16 to 25 and get a support that they need on their employment journey. We spent a lot of time first 3 or 4 months really getting the offer sorted and making the space, as you said, very welcoming, very open. So we have high chairs, we have low chairs, we have access to 5 executive boxes where we do one-to-one support, but they also break out into being wellbeing rooms and just a place to relax. There's music and free drinks like soft drinks, etc. But what actually happens in the hub is as I mentioned, I keep going on about this third space. It's a part of the stadium which overlooks the pitch that employers and partners come into the hub to help young people, all with the sole direction of helping every young person come through the door. So not only do we have guided and dedicated one-to-one mentoring with regards to employment support, which could cover everything from CVs to confidence to interview prep, management, first impressions, how to use social media. We have 4 job centre work coaches in 3 days a week, so providing support to young people on who are claiming, but then their time they give to that young person is now 30 minutes. So where at the job centre it would be 10 or 15, it's 30 minutes minimum at the youth hub. So again, gets a lot more time to be relaxed, bring everything down and just work at a pace which is suitable for that young person. We also have CPSL Mind in, so they provide, they're in 4 days a week, and they provide free mental health coaching for every young person who expresses a need or has a concern regarding their mental health. However small or however big, it's 4 free sessions over 12 weeks. Then we have Cross Keys Homes, we mentioned earlier on. They come in and provide money advice, so helping people with managing debt, setting up bank accounts, and anything regards to like financial support or guidance, really, just to make sure that young person's aware of what they need to be able to budget really for that day to day. They also are able to provide information and advice regarding tenancies, so that's regardless if they're Cross Keys tenant or not. If a young person expresses a concern around a tenancy and stuff, we can link in with Cross Keys to provide that support. They also come in and do employment support. There is 1,500 young people in the city who are classified as NEET, so not education, employment training. I would be very selfish and silly to think that as myself and Alicia could manage all those young people, so we often get other organisations to come in and also do employment. We have the Peterborough Employment and Education team. They come in out of the hub on a weekly basis and provide support to any young person who's not in school or doesn't have a destination. We have, mine's going now really quickly, we have Light Project Peterborough, so providing any young person who's advised regards to if they're homeless or sofa surfing, but also offering peer mentoring support, or encouraging people to volunteer to become peer mentors if they've got lived experience. We have Steadfast training, Job Smarts and Back to Work training, so providing dedicated spaces for young people to get training and advice. And we do various other things. So last week, we had Microsoft and LinkedIn come into the hub to provide support regarding how to use social media in a way that
like a workshop.
To do a workshop and that. So my philosophy of how I wanted the hub, or not just me, but how we wanted the hub at the foundation was any young person walks through that door and offers help within a couple of minutes or even half an hour, how can we support that young person? Really.
And that's amazing. So with all those partners that have been mentioned, and the offer of support is an array of support, for a young person to go into that hub and not come away with something would be, I think, extraordinary, because when I walked in there, it was an atmosphere where there was people willing to offer help. It was buzzing. It wasn't like a desk, where you have to get in a queue or anything like that. It was kind of like a bubbly atmosphere. And to be honest, the fact that it is at the Posh Stadium makes a huge difference, because you've got the whole sportsy thing going on. You go in there and the actual venue it's not a rundown venue. It's a lovely plush venue, and the boxes. I was mesmerised by the boxes. That's where we had our meeting. But you could see the stadium from the glass box, like it's the football stadium, obviously, and looks out to the ground. But it's very relaxing. So when you said some, because you mentioned to me there's some young people that come here to the space. They come to the space and sometimes they just want a bit of time out to themselves. And those spaces, like just that box where a young person could just have a drink and chill and figure out what they want for 10, 15 minutes. You don't get that anywhere else. It's very hard because there aren't any, like we said, youth clubs or spaces, safe spaces like that, because premises aren't available, like where you could just chill and a young person could take their time, because everything's so fast paced now, and we're chucking things at them and we're giving them advice, and for that space gives them, I think, like, I was so impressed by it. I said I want my son, my 17-year-old, to come here, and I spoke to him about it, and he goes, yeah, Mum, I want to. In the holidays he's going to go. But I've been promoting it to kids that I come across, young people that, you know, that say, says, can you look for a job for me or whatever. I say, well, there's a youth hub, like there's a walk-in. And the great thing about it is a walk-in.
It's definitely a walk-in.
Not like an appointment. So what it was the days again, Monday to Thursday?
Monday to Thursday.
10 to 3?
10 till 4.
10 till 4.
And it's a walk-in. We had a lad last week walk in, and he just walked in and said, I want to know, I've never had an interview before. What do I need to do? I'm fighting, you know, we just sat down and had a conversation for the next hour about interviews. We've had another young lad come in who I've helped previously, and he got a role in volunteering. He just walked in and just said, can we have a conversation? I was like, yeah, what about it? He goes, nothing really, I just want to have a chat. And we ended up talking about 3D animation, which I have no idea about. But after that conversation, I had a little bit more information. So it's very much a space where, say, they can drop in, they can get an appointment, they can go on the website, Peterborough United Foundation's website. There's a youth hub link in there which shows you where the hub is, and you can book a slot or just message us. And every young person gets welcomed when they walk in, and then gets spoken to in a nice, comfortable way, and then either taken to their support session or their intervention that they've got to work with that adult, or if they want some time, as you said, they can just go in a box and relax for 5 minutes and not be in pressure. We also have conversational Jenga. We literally just brought Uno, and we've got some other games which we're bringing in just again to start these sort of conversations.
It's so focused on the relationship, and that's the beautiful thing about it. I mean, Nisha's perspective is particularly important as someone who has just walked in with limited knowledge of it and just had an amazing experience, and I've kind of had the privilege of seeing it develop from an idea into launching, and I think the fact that the hub team and the number of organisations behind it have such an understanding between them of all the different things young people might need, and they go above and beyond to listen to young people as well if there's needs that maybe aren't being met. But even something as simple as it just being a calming, friendly space with the right balance of fun and engaging, but also accommodating for when someone's not really in the mood to engage. It's such an incredible environment, and we're going to break shortly, but we will be back with you in a couple of minutes.
Medina, Medina, Medina to Nabi, Medina, Medina, Medina to Nabi.
In my dreams I make my way to Medina, the home and chosen place of our beloved prophet, where all I feel is peace and so much joy around. No better place for me. Yeah, Medina, Medina, Medina to Nabi, Medina, Medina, that's where I wanna be. Medina, Medina, Medina to Nabi, Medina, Medina, that's where I wanna be. Oh, oh, Medina, Medina, oh, oh, Medina, Medina. I wake with the morning light in Medina. Everywhere I see blue skies set above these mountains, bright colors fill the streets, a smile on every face, a special place for me. Yeah, Medina, Medina, Medina to Nabi, Medina, Medina, that's where I wanna be. Medina, Medina, Medina to Nabi, Medina, Medina. That's where I wanna be. Oh, oh, Medina, Medina. Oh, oh, Medina, Medina. طلع البدر علينا من ثنيات الوداع وجب الشكر علينا ما دعا لله داع أيها المبعوث فينا جئت بالأمر المطاع جئت شرفت المدينة مرحبا يا خير داع مدينة 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 النبي مدينة مدينة That's where I wanna be مدينة 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 النبي مدينة مدينة That's where I wanna be Oh, oh مدينة مدينة Oh, oh مدينة مدينة Oh, oh مدينة مدينة Oh, oh مدينة 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 النبي مدينة 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 النبي
مدينة 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 النبي مدينة 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 النبي
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Community Connection with Eva and Nisha. This is the show where we talk about some of the amazing community work happening in Peterborough, and today we've been talking all about young people again in the studio with Dean Watson, who is the manager of the Youth Hub based at the Peterborough United Stadium. They do amazing work to support young people who are struggling to find work, they're facing barriers to employment. And before the break we were talking about some of just the amount of organisations who are part of the collaboration that is the Youth Hub. I mean, it's hosted by the Peterborough United Foundation. Dean and Alicia and a couple of others are the core staff who kind of maintain the space and do the intensive kind of mentoring and some employability work with young people. But also we've got the DWP, the job centre work coaches in there, we've got mental health support, we've got training, we've got a huge amount of things going on. And in the short time the hub's been open, only since November last year,
Yes,
was it?
yeah.
They've worked with, you said the number earlier, what's the number of young people?
So we've had 470 sign-in come into the hub for support. And then Alicia and myself have worked with 120 on a one-to-one basis mentoring.
So that's a huge number of young people who are coming in regularly. It's every 2 weeks or so, right, that they come in for an appointment with one of you, and then also they're coming in for other things, workshops, different services. Some people will come in quite regularly if they just really value the space and want to be there and have those relationships. And I wonder, Dean, could you tell us about some of the stories you're most proud of so far, some of the young people you've been able to support?
Yeah, definitely, and it's important to know that at the hub we don't really look at obviously the outcome for young persons to get into employment, but however we can improve them on their journey. So we've had young people who have come in. One lad was one of the first to come into the hub, didn't want to speak. He just didn't have the confidence to talk or anything along those lines. And then through the support that Alicia provided over 6 months, he's now able to have regular conversations. He's got a job now as an apprenticeship at Tesco's, which he sought himself, and then went to the interviews with that level of confidence. And then we've also had another young person who, again, was very, very far away from the employment journey. Just wasn't kind of any sort of ready, just to come in, and. Through the conversations that we're having, that they're more welcome now to come in and adjusted their times. Alicia has supported somebody who kept cancelling their appointments, for various different times, regardless of what time of day she made the appointments. It found out that this young person was a carer for her siblings. So Alicia adjusted the way we delivered. So rather than doing face-to-face, it was over Teams or over a phone call, which then helped that young person get the support that they needed so that they continue their work. We've had another girl which you've actually met. She came in as a gap year just after finish her A-levels. Really loved policy and research, but didn't know kind of where to go. So I reached out to Eva, had a lovely conversation with her. She's now got a full-time job, not within policy and research, but the job that she's in now, she's looking at how she can do policy and research in that job, if that makes sense. So whilst it's not in the industries that she really was looking at, it's something where she's like, well, I could actually use this research understanding.
Skills,
but it's through them conversations I was having, through to just a young person who again, very much might miss a session here, might miss a session there. There's no commitment, but they're still coming in and relaxing.
See, I think that's what you call a win.
Yeah,
win
100%.
situation. Like the fact that you're engaged enough for them to continue to come to the hub. It's a hard job out there when it comes to engaging with young people, because they're going through different challenges and
Yes.
things. So for them to be able to come to a place and come regularly, even though they feel, like you said, they might miss a session, but it's open for them to come to the next session. Eventually they'll open up, and then you don't know what impact that's going to have on the young person. It's definitely going to be a positive one from that hub, because there's so much there to offer.
And I was at a training last night, and we were talking about supporting young people who have experienced trauma, and it's exactly what you just said, Nisha, around young people can tell when you don't care or when you don't want them to be there. The guy who was leading the training was someone who had worked in what used to be a pupil referral unit, and he was talking about his experiences of some teachers who would be thrilled when certain kids didn't turn up for school because it made their life easier. And we're so lucky this show's about championing the special people, as Nisha calls them, in Peterborough, and the Youth Hub is a place where everybody really cares, and everybody just does go above and beyond to understand every single young person who goes in and help them to understand themselves and kind of coach them through finding whatever is the right destination for them. It's not a one-size-fits-all, but also, as you can hear from some of the examples that you've just given, Dean, that they've made an incredible impact so far in so many different ways.
Yeah, and what I really love to do and sit back and watch is when a young person comes in, for argument's sake, say a job centre appointment, and they talk about training, they're then taken to the training provider to book them on. They then go back to their appointment and they might talk about mental health struggling. They're then booked on with Matthew there and then on site. So it's really nice to see, and then to see that young person's journey, that actually they can get the support there and then, rather than having to wait a day or two, rather than having to join everyone else in the queue. They can get it there and then. It's really nice to see.
You know what's so beautiful about that? When I went to the hub and the experience and everything you showed me, for the last 3 years, whilst I've been at the council and working with partnerships, we obviously speak about strategy and how to support people in the public space for a service user who's struggling, and not just for young people, but generally someone. And we talk about access of council services or other services like citizen advice and things like that. But we always spoke about this notion of having a one-stop shop where all partners are available for accessibility, so we don't have to turn someone away and say, go and call that department or this department or that organisation. And it's about signposting around the whole block, basically. And we've had that so often where, as strategic planners and being a part of that conversation, we've spoken about it, but this is something that I've seen for the first time was actually being delivered. And the fact that it's delivered to our young people, who are a cohort of young people who are our future for the next generation coming and after that, that's why I'm so mesmerised by the whole model.
So Youth Hub scores very highly. It's approved by Nisha, which is a huge mark of quality. I mean, Dean, we've got a couple of minutes left. Tell us a little bit about, I guess, how to find the Youth Hub and how people can maybe where they can look if they've got a few more questions they're considering coming down.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier on, the Peterborough United Foundation have a heading on there saying the Peterborough Youth Hub. If you click onto that, it opens up the web page and gives you a lot of information about what the hub is and what we've done. It's also got a video of how to get to the hub, because it can be tricky, and also a map to show. But if you wanted to just come down to the stadium, head towards gate 23, which is all the way around the other side, the Meerkat family stand, and then come on into the hub, or just email youthhub@theposh.com.
So that's youthhub@theposh.com. Couldn't be simpler. And as Dean says, you go to the stadium, go all the way around the back, isn't it? And there's really clearly signposted. There's a wonderful gentleman who sets out the front in a little stand and makes sure you know where you're going to go. And you can get in touch if you've got any questions. There's videos on the sites. They try and make it really easy to find it. And Dean, we've got a couple of seconds left. Is there any message you want to leave people with?
If you have a question, just ask. That's the thing I go with. If you're not sure, just ask a question. That's if it's a young person, parent, carer, or even a business. Just ask the question and see what we can do.
Absolutely, yeah. And
thank you so much for coming to the show.
Yeah, we really appreciate having you on. It's been great to hear the picture from you directly. We've been Community Connection, and we're back every other Tuesday, so we will see you very soon. Salaam.